Hello and welcome back to Secret Surge. It's just going to be me today. Lindsay is unavailable. We've had quite a busy time now that track season has started. There's a lot of travel and we both have our own race schedules, which has made it a little bit harder to coordinate and be able to film these podcasts. So we're going to make it work this time. I'm going to lead the podcast and she'll hopefully be joining me next time. But I won't actually be all on my own because today I have Lucy Jones joining us. Lucy is a runner from the UK and she has just run the London Marathon in a phenomenal time of 2:30:23, which placed her first in the mass race at the London Marathon. A huge PB, and it's not only been that she's had a real breakthrough year, and I'm really excited to get to talk to her and kind of dissect how has she done it, what's the training, and most importantly, get you guys to know the name Lucy Jones. It's one to watch, I'm telling you. This is gonna be a fun one. Welcome back to Secret Surge. Today I have Lucy Jones with me, who has just run the London Marathon in a phenomenal time of 2:30:23.
Thank you so much.
We're glad you could join us. Love to honestly just jump straight in and ask you, how was London Marathon?
Honestly, it was amazing. One of the best days of my life. Honestly, I had so much fun. I just spent the day doing what I love with my best friends and my family, and absolutely loved it. Can't complain. And obviously, everything went really, really well on the day. So came out feeling pretty positive and happy.
I think one special thing about London, at least coming from another Brit as well, is that it seems like there's so much support out there. How was it across the whole course? Because I've only ever experienced the last kind of 5-ish miles of the marathon or the London Bridge kind of thing. But how was it across the whole route?
It was honestly insane. It's definitely something I've never experienced. I think the weather helped bring the crowds out, so there wasn't a single part of the marathon that wasn't packed. And obviously, being from a London-based club, so many people were watching that I knew or that trained with me, and I was getting cheers from like left, right, and centre almost every 100 meters, which was amazing. And then, as you sort of head back along Embankment towards Big Ben and towards the Mall and towards finish, the noise was electric. It genuinely, I couldn't believe it. All I could keep thinking was like that noise is insane. It was just like, amazing. It was definitely
a marathon.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean that's great, especially when it's going like so well as well. It just kind of adds to the fire, I feel like.
Exactly.
To keep going and keep pushing. Sounds like a lot of fun. And it sounds like it was quite a different experience from you ran the London Marathon last year, and this was a huge PB and quite a different race. What do you think? Why do you think it went so different?
It literally, because I suppose when I ran London last year, I wasn't really running competitively. I had only just started training in London, and didn't really think I was going to be competitive running anymore. Just was kind of doing it for a social. And my friend got in via the ballot, so I just thought, maybe I could get in via championship, and run it with her. Obviously, then as the marathon came closer and closer, I then got competitive and thought that I would maybe be able to, go under 3 hours and maybe run about 2:50. But I had no training behind me. Like, I really, really did not give the marathon any respect, and I think I just went out too hard, and I ended up having to jog from mile 18. So, hence, massive PB this year, just because I did everything that you could think of wrong the year before.
Well, it was it was no shabby time last year as well. I think it was 2:52,
Yeah, yeah.
2:52, which I mean that is an incredible time in itself still with little
Thank you.
training and walking
Thank
and
you.
jogging. So it kind of
Oh,
just shows like what you can do in a
yeah,
year
I think it was.
if you
I
get the
think
right
actually it's
setup.
quite funny. It wasn't. Obviously the time was fine. I think just because the experience was so dramatic and it was genuinely so tough that obviously everyone says they have that sort of marathon that goes that way because it was so dramatic. I yeah, it's made me really appreciate this year and yeah, just having one that actually went really really well
Yeah.
and yeah.
Well, I'm glad you kept at it and gave it another go. Yeah. Do you see yourself sticking with some marathons for a bit,
Yeah.
or will you
Yeah, I
mix around a
think
bit?
I've definitely still got a lot of potential on the track. I think I definitely don't want to label myself as a marathon runner yet. I think I'm still quite young, and I think it tends to be something that you move towards later in your career. So I'd really, really like to bring my PBs down and really show what I can do on the track. But that being said, I absolutely loved it, and I would be more than happy to do a marathon a year, probably.
Yeah,
And
you've
then
got plenty
obviously,
of time for it
yeah,
as well.
exactly.
Yeah, I
And I
feel like
think
a
the
lot of
training,
runners go into it more like start in their mid 20s, but they're going well into late 30s, 40s, honestly. So
yeah,
there's so
exactly.
much
And I think
time.
the training suits me, and yeah, it gave me a good block from the winter anyway. I'd probably be doing a bit more mileage in the winter anyway, so it suited me. And yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that works. So to get into London as a championship runner, how does that work? Is there a standard
Yeah,
for it?
so for championship, you have to run, I think it is under 3:10, I think, for the women over a marathon, or under 1 hour 26 for a half. It's definitely 1 hour
Okay.
26 for a half. I'd have to double check on the actual full uh, like
Yeah.
qualification. But yeah, you have to be what I'd say is like a decent club runner, like a really decent club runner to be able to get into championship. And then obviously you get the championship start pen, the yeah, and you start just behind the male elites, which is really helpful because you get a bit more of a clearer start, and you're not having to weave three people kind of like you would in the masses. So yeah.
Was it the marathon from the year before that qualified you for championship?
Um,
Or had you
it
done a
was
half?
Yeah, I did a half. Well, it would have been the marathon from the year before, but I did a half on the lead up to London anyway. So yeah, either or.
So either way, you kind of got the
Yeah,
standard, got that spot. Yeah, that's interesting because having never entertained the idea of doing a marathon seriously enough to look into that kind of stuff.
yeah, yeah,
I didn't. I assumed there was a championship kind of race by the fact that I know people that get into this race and they
yeah,
didn't go through the ballot, but I've never actually looked at like how you get into the London
yeah.
Marathon. But after watching that, I was like, watching London Marathon weekend, you're like, oh, I could do it.
Yeah, and honestly, the amount of people that are saying, you know, they feel really genuinely inspired this year. I think they did a really cracking job, London Marathon, and I think the weather and just the vibes were immaculate for the whole
The
weekend.
weather does help. I remember when I was younger, I did the mini marathons,
Yeah,
which would be on the same day. I think now it's the day before they send the kids
yeah,
doing the mini marathon, which is the last 3 miles of the London Marathon for anyone that doesn't know, which is usually from about ages 11 to 17. You get to race some of the best kids in the country on the marathon course, and it was
yeah.
always such a good day. I remember like you would
Oh,
run through the tunnel and then like race, and then after that you just go to a point with the club and just your club or whoever and just like cheer everyone on the whole day.
yeah, 100%. That mini marathon I always say was my favourite one growing up every year. So, yeah.
Yeah, were you part of the London Borough ones, or
No,
where were you
I'm from
from?
Leicester originally, so I was part
Leicester.
of East Mids.
I see you're one of the fast ones. I was one of the London Borough who kind of got the easy way in.
No, it's equally hard for everyone.
Yeah, once you're in the race, it's the same race, but I didn't have to compete against a whole bunch of people. I got in from being from Croydon, so
Fair enough.
yeah. So I was wondering about the Puma project. We previously had Luke Greer on, who was also part of the project. He ran a good London marathon as well. He had a goal of, I think, sub 2:20, and I think he may have been just over it by a minute or so. But like, it was a hot day. I think a lot of people were finding it hard, so I think that was a PB and a success for him as well. What was your experience with the Puma project?
Yeah, honestly, I had an amazing experience. Obviously, it's a program like no other, I suppose. Definitely something that I've not seen any other brand offer before this. I think obviously it supported the launch of their super shoe, and yeah, it just gave us a chance, especially those that are like just below elite or maybe not quite on professional contracts, a chance to just have access to like nutritionists and like psychologists and a little bit of like race day support. And then obviously also they gave us some amazing kit, and we got to run in the Puma R3s, I think they are, before they were released. So yeah, it was just really honestly amazing. Obviously as well, there was a like time-based bonus, like prize money-esque style prize for athletes that like broke their PB by 3 minutes and I don't know, got the biggest PB, for example. And yeah, it just really, it was nice. I think it was really nice to have a brand back you for the marathon, because a lot of us don't, are working full time and don't have contracts as of such. So yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, sometimes it is just kind of being given that chance by a brand, because there's like, so like you said, so many people are in this kind of middle ground. It's like you just need that little bit of support, and who knows where you could go from there, which is I think why we've been interested in hearing people's thoughts on the program and experiences with it, as it's literally the kind of area that we want to be bringing focus to. We want to be hearing from people like yourself that like, they're like, hey, look, I can do it too. So there was a lot of money in this Puma project, because I want to say it was three grand for like whoever was best and whoever got the biggest PB. And you must have been up there for one of the biggest PBs and for the best overall.
I think I was lucky enough to win both. So I came home with a nice check, which was just so great. Topped everything off. So I literally best day of my life. So
yeah, such a good day. I was thinking, I was like, she has to have come away with that. What did the kind of race day support look like then?
So pretty much just kit. They did a little bit of social content the day before, but it was mainly just kit and trainers. Okay. And they let you be, I suppose. I don't necessarily think they want to get too involved. But
too much you can do on the day.
Exactly. So we were lucky enough to get like the kit and then the shoes.
How do you feel like that whole experience has influenced, say, like your confidence, the way you see the possibilities of
I think that
like, training as a professional athlete?
I think that I'm just really proud of myself. I think I shocked myself with the time, I think, but it is something that I knew I've always had in there, and I think just the fact that I've gone out and done it and actually proved to myself that I can has given me a lot of confidence. I'm absolutely buzzing for the track season, and I would absolutely love to potentially one day go pro and really give it a crack and have a brand back me. But we'll see. Hopefully, if I can just keep running fast and enjoying it, then maybe in the future that might be a possibility. You definitely gotta take the opportunities that come to you, and hopefully like they start to show themselves as like people get to know you,
And yeah, like it was an incredible time. And I would say I'd been noticing you for kind of the last since the start of the year, so I
Oh.
had an idea that you were going to do well, and I was really interested to see like what time you were going to do. I'd actually told Lindsay weeks ago. I was like, I think Lucy's about to have the year of her life. I was like, we need to get her on here.
Oh, that's so nice. That is so
Yeah.
sweet. Thank you.
No, I
Um,
because I try and keep up with what's going on in
yeah,
the
in the
UK,
UK. Yeah.
and I noticed that the cross country trials in Liverpool, you finished really well in that, and I was looking at that race because I really wanted to do it myself,
Yeah.
but ended up being a little bit too injured that it wouldn't have been worth, flying home doing
Yeah.
it. But I saw the results and I was like, Lucy,
Thank
God.
you.
And then you did
Yeah.
well in the BMC in the 3K indoors. And I
Yeah.
was like, I think it was after that 3K indoors, I was like to Lindsay, you watch Lucy. I
Oh,
said to
thank
Lindsay,
you.
she's on a
Actually,
roll here. So
you know what? I really think that it was Liverpool that kind of flipped the switch in my head, that kind of made me think, oh, do you know what? I think maybe I do need to have a bit of confidence and kind of give it a bit of a go and just be brave, because I really was umming and ahhing about going up to Liverpool. I had had a long cross season already at that point, and I was a little bit tired. And I obviously working full time, when you're doing like race back to back, weekend after weekend, by Liverpool, because I hadn't planned to run it, I was really tired. But on the week, my dad was just, and I was like, oh, Dad, I'll go up there and I'll come, I don't know, 25th, and like, it'll be a long trip and you'll have to take me all the way up there and there's not really any point. And my mum and dad just went, so what? Just give it a go, please. Like, you're in really good shape. Just back yourself for once. And my best friend was also sat there. We were having dinner, and she was like, "Come on, Luce, just go up there and give it a go." And then obviously, I was lucky enough to have a really good run and came away. I think it was like 12th or 13th, and I was like, "Oh, do you know what? I'm actually all right. I think we should give this a go." So yeah,
yeah, I
since
mean
then I
that's
just
like
kind
in
of
the
felt,
mix for making the team. Honestly,
yeah,
yeah,
hopefully. So then, since then, I just was like, "Do you know what? Go for it." And yeah, haven't looked back since.
having like that confidence in yourself can literally be the game changer. And I
Yeah,
feel like I could relate with the kind of cross country. I feel like a lot of us grow up starting with cross country.
yeah,
And
definitely.
I know I've done Liverpool a few times, and I think the best I've ever came was like 80th. And it's like that switch of being like, oh, when there's hundreds of people on the start line, am I just going to be someone in the middle? And like that mind shift to be like, no, I could be at the front of that
Yeah,
pack in a cross country race. It's like, it's kind of scary, but it's really exciting if you really go for it and believe in it.
yeah, exactly.
So, what do you think brought? You kind of had a different change in setup in the last year. You said you were not running so much, and what was even
Yeah,
considering not
yeah.
continuing. What changed?
So I moved to London about a year and a half now. I think maybe it's slightly longer than that. And obviously, I wasn't. I'd been a year in full time work at that point, and that was in Ireland. I lived in Ireland for a year in Dublin, and had really not ran much while I was there. And yeah, I just thought that maybe I was done. I thought that maybe I didn't have any confidence in myself, and just yeah, didn't really necessarily see myself in the sport anymore. And my friend just said, "Look, come down to Herne Hill, which is a London-based running club." And like, it's so fun, it's so social, you'll have an amazing time. Just come for the social and just do one session a week, and just please just give it a chance. So I went down in September, not this September, the September before, and yeah, didn't look back since then. I literally fell straight into training with them, um, and met all the girls and the guys. Literally within a couple of weeks, was like having the time of my life training with this training group. And then by January, I kind of like talked myself into doing a couple of Surrey Lees, a couple of cross countries. And then as soon as I started racing, I suddenly started having so much fun. And it was the first time in sort of my career that I genuinely didn't care how well I did or what times I ran or anything. I didn't care. I was just having so much fun. And I think that that just really changed everything for me. I was then now only running because I loved it and I really chose to, rather than like, you know, feeling like you have to. So then after that, I just sort of kept racing, and then Jeff, the coach at Herne Hill, I kind of just fell into being coached by him. He just gradually gave me advice and he let me come to him, and he's a brilliant coach and is very laid back, and that suits me really well. And yeah, just then I ended up opening with a PB on the track last year, and then thinking, oh, maybe I can actually rewrite all my PBs, essentially. I would have loved to have just finally been faster than I was at 17, 18. And then, yeah, haven't looked back since. I've just been like on a high since then.
Yeah. I think from what I get from that, it's like really the mindset and the people around you that helps so much. And I definitely think that it's one of the, if you're happy, you're going to run better, you're going to train better, you'll be excited to go to training. So yeah, Herne Hill is a great club for it. I've done some sessions with them myself because they're quite close to me when I'm at home in London as well.
Oh, nice.
So I know Jeff pretty well. I've joined in many of those sessions.
Oh, yeah,
and there's so many of you guys.
Yeah, you'll have to come down.
I think before I came out to the US, I was going quite regularly because I'm with my club Croydon, who are great, and I love them as well, but we didn't have the same numbers of kind of athletes to push if you're in that kind of level where you're like trying to push to the next level. Herne Hill just had so many good guys, girls. You always had someone to push you. So I spoke to Jeff, and I still get his emails, actually, his Herne Hill emails.
Oh, that's
so yeah, very familiar. And I can understand how you can be excited to go to training there. I find it when I go to Croydon as well. It's a lot of fun to go and be able to socialise in this club setting. That kind of brought me to we've debated quite a bit on here on like what defines a pro, and we like the simple explanation is like you're getting paid money to run. Is, you know, if you want to make it a really short episode, that's the answer.
Yeah.
But we were talking about how you don't necessarily need the contract. You don't need to be earning a certain amount, because if you were, then the number of actual professional athletes would be tiny.
Yeah.
So do you think you could start considering yourself a pro now? I mean, if you're going to be training hard and you're running these good times?
I think in reality, I think not just me, I think there's so many athletes that perhaps work part-time or whatever that definitely in any other sport would 100% be considered a pro. I mean, I think probably athletics is one of the only sports where you could probably be top 10 in the country and not be paid, or not be your full-time job.
That's the exact kind of scenario I've used as well. I'm like fourth best in the country at this event, and I don't know, I guess I'm a semi-professional.
Exactly.
I'm not being paid like 100
I know. So I think, like, while technically, no, I'm not a pro because I have to work full-time and, you know, fit all my training around. But I definitely, and really after the marathon, feel as if I should be confident enough in my ability and my knowledge, I suppose, and experience that I suppose technically I could be considered a pro, kind of. But yeah, so it's such a blurred line, isn't it, in athletics? It's literally it's unbelievable. But yeah. But then the other side of this that I actually have always kind of really enjoyed about running it is that because of that, it keeps running really I don't know how to explain it. Like it means that it's just really accessible and really, I don't want to say this is completely the wrong word, but I hope you understand what I mean, naive, kind of. Like, it's really, I don't know, there's a lot of sports that have been picked up by, let's say, football or NBA or something like that have been, that the athletes are really well paid and it's really high coverage, and there's so many amazing things about that. And obviously then athletes get the support that they need to develop, and you can make a full career out of it. But I think with running, a lot of there's just there's a different feel to it, and I like it. I can't explain it.
Yeah,
But
I guess
fun.
it's always like UK athletics is always talking about trying to maintain the amateurism
That's what
aspect
it
of
is.
it, and
Amateurism. That's what I
yeah,
meant.
and I think that's we do have like a really good club culture where it's like anyone can do it. It's for
Yeah.
anyone, whether you're like just starting, you're 12 years old, or whether you're like 60 years old. I know my club in particular has the whole spectrum of like age ranges and like lifelong members, and then within that there's people going for like all of their own individual goals, whether that's to get a GB vest or whether it's
Yeah.
just to do your best in the Surrey League, the local cross country, your park
Yeah,
run.
exactly. So yeah, that's the one thing. I'm not, yeah, and obviously, for the top athletes, it is really important that they can make a career out of it. But in the same breath, it's nice for grassroots sport that it is so accessible, and there is, yeah, that amateurism that still exists.
Yeah, what I was thinking was if you got an opportunity to go pro now, say a brand reached out and it was like a good amount, enough amount for someone that's like just trying to push onto the scene, do you think you would say like take a pay cut to have the opportunity to go pro? Or if it's working, you're working full time, you're enjoying it, you're able to fit it round whilst doing a full time job, would you, yeah, keep it
Yeah,
that way?
to be honest, I would absolutely snap your hand off. I would take one third of my current salary to go pro. I think at the end of the day, I genuinely would give anything to be able to. I just would like to be backed and have the chance to really show myself and show what I I hope I could do. And at the end of the day, since I was very very little, I've always wanted to represent my country and be a pro distance runner and make it to some champs, if any. And yeah, so within a heartbeat, if any sort of opportunity came my way, it wouldn't be a question. It would be a when can I start, please. um, but yeah, I even if it was a small amount, go part time and just make up the.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people do that, don't they? Um, but the difference, I've heard the difference that the jump that you get from going part time or full or to a full time athlete from working full time is huge, and I'd just really like to give myself that chance at some point. But again, just keep running fast and hopefully,
yeah. Well,
hopefully,
I know you've just started a new job, so I won't tell you to like quit it and go ahead. Like, I don't know how that will go down, but honestly, the part time thing sounds like I've one thing I've realized personally is that you don't have to live quite so complicated. Like we all have, there's like bills to pay all the time.
yeah,
There's always going to be that. Then prices of food, they're all going up, but like if you strip things back, you can make it work on a smaller amount, and that's the kind of thing that's allowed me to run for a thing.
yeah,
And yeah, for me, I was saying the dream for me, I would love to get a part-time job in the library, and I could just sit
yes.
in the library. That's what that would
And
be
that'd be
my dream,
perfect
to get
because you're
like
not on your feet. You're not on your feet. You can train
yes,
hard, and then you can go and relax in the library and read books and yeah,
that
and
would be the
probably
dream
enjoy
for
your
me.
hobby between training, which is perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, because it definitely, I think one thing we haven't really like pressed on, like the type of job that you're doing full time can really influence it, because if you have a bit more flexibility in the full time job, if you've got the say hybrid job, you can work from home,
Yeah,
you are able to do a bit more of things to help you in your athletic journey as well. Whereas if it's a retail or something where you're on your feet, your day can be a lot harder, and you really have to make training adaptations for that as well.
Yeah, exactly.
What would you say to athletes who are working full time and they're wondering if it's still possible to hit elite times?
Yeah, I suppose I suppose I would just recommend finding a routine that really works for you. I think don't be shy of pulling back when your body feels tired, or you've had a long week and maybe you can't quite hit the mileage that you'd sort of intended to hit. I feel like what I've learned over the last couple of years is that knowing my body inside out and really, really understanding how I feel is so important. And I'm the first one to pull back and miss a run if I've had a stressful week, or I've had a lot going on that day at work and just can't quite squeeze it in, or I'll pull my splits down a little bit if they're a little bit tough to hit, and I know I'm tired. I think what I always find is it's much better to back off for 2 or 3 days, or one day even, and miss 2 or 3 days of mileage than it is to push yourself over the cliff and miss a week's worth of mileage. So it's for the sake of probably losing 10 to 15 miles instead of losing an entire week, sort of 50 miles, let's say. So yeah, just really knowing your body and understanding how what works for you. And then on that, I think also, as long as you're including things in your day that make you really happy, be it training, be it socializing a bit with your friends outside of work, don't neglect those things, because at the end of the day you will run you will run fastest times, or be the best athlete you can be when you're really happy. And if that means that you need to do one less gym a week to get a bit of social in because you don't have any other time to do that, then that's also important. I think your head, your mental state when it comes to racing is just as important as your physical. So whatever you need to do to get that to work around your job, yeah, that would be my advice, I suppose. I think as well, just on that, one of my closest friends is also full time work, and she's an Irish athlete, but she's would be considered she's running times that are fast enough to be pro, and she makes it work. I make it work. A lot of my friends at Herne Hill make it work and still run super quick. So don't rule yourself out just because you've got to work. Once you find a routine, it's all right.
And finally, what advice would you give yourself from 1 year ago? That Lucy that didn't know if she was going to keep training.
I would just say be brave and back yourself, because at the end of the day, no one else is going to back you. It's on you to do that. So I'd just say, what are you waiting for? Because you're going to run out of time.
What are you waiting for, indeed? Well, thank you so much for joining us, Lucy. I'm so glad we could get you on Secret Surge podcast. It's been great to hear your story.
Thank you so much. I've loved it.
And thank you to everyone that's been listening to Secret Surge. I'm glad that we got this episode out for you. I'm sorry there's been a little bit of a break. It's just life, you know. If you've enjoyed listening to Lucy's story, you can follow her on Instagram at LucyAmberJones_. We would love to hear who you want to hear from next. So if there's anyone in particular that story intrigues you, or you just want to know a bit more about, please reach out. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.